Chosen ones, there comes a moment when the test is not in your strength, not in your endurance, but in your silence. The world pushes you to speak, to explain, to react. Yet the deeper path asks for the opposite, to hold your tongue when every part of you wants to release words into the air. This is where mastery is revealed. In this teaching, we walk together into the heart of a secret that many overlook. The final test is not measured by what you can endure outside, but by what you can restrain inside. Silence is not emptiness, it is the highest form of discipline. It holds energy like a sealed vessel, and when you learn this, you discover power that cannot be shaken. Through this journey, you will learn why ancient Shaolin masters chose quietude over argument, why monks carried truths silently for years before speaking a single line, and why the tongue, though small, is considered sharper than the sword. You will understand how silence builds strength, how it shields wisdom, and why it is the mark of those who have crossed from seeker to keeper. Stay until the end, because this is not simply a lesson, it is the last threshold. To understand it fully is to know whether you have passed the final test. Every word, every pause, every silence in this teaching carries weight. Let it unfold within you. This is Shaolin Soulfire. If this path speaks to you, walk with us further. Subscribe now so you never miss a step on this journey of mastery, clarity, and the fire of the spirit. The silence begins here. There is a moment in every life where silence feels heavier than words, yet stronger than any action. In that stillness, you discover that restraint is not weakness, it is hidden power. The world will tempt you, provoke you, try to stir your emotions, but when you refuse to be moved, you reveal a strength that most cannot see. In the monastery, we were taught that anyone can strike, anyone can argue, anyone can shout. These things require no mastery. But to remain composed when your pride is challenged, when your patience is tested, that is the true measure of discipline. Restraint is strength disguised as stillness. It is the invisible shield that protects your spirit from being scattered. There is an old story told among the monks. A young disciple, eager to prove himself, was mocked by villagers who doubted his training. They laughed at him, waiting for his anger to rise. But the disciple did not move, did not answer. Days later, he was asked why he stayed silent. He said, "If I accept their words, I carry their burden. If I let them fall, they return to the ones who threw them." That is the essence of mastery, choosing not to take on the weight that does not belong to you. To pass the final test is to understand this truth. The test is not about defeating others. It is not about showing your superiority. It is about proving to yourself that no outside force can pull you away from your center. In restraint, you keep your energy sealed. In stillness, you remain unshaken. And in that quiet strength, the world realizes it has no hold over you. Every word you speak leaves you lighter or heavier. It is not only sound, it is energy that carries a part of you into the world. Spoken without intention, words scatter your strength. They leave you restless, drained, as if something valuable slipped away unnoticed. This is why the wise guard their tongue as carefully as a warrior guards his blade. In the old Shaolin halls, students were often tested not by combat but by silence. A master would ask a provoking question, knowing the urge to answer quickly would rise. Yet the true disciple waited, breathing slowly, letting the impulse pass. For they knew that words spoken in haste are like arrows shot into the wind. Once released, they cannot be called back. The chosen ones are trusted with silence because they understand this secret. They see that silence is not emptiness but a vessel where energy is preserved. To remain quiet is to conserve what is vital. On days of testing like August 25th, restraint becomes more than discipline, it becomes protection. It shields the spirit from unnecessary loss, from scattering its strength into places where it is not honored. There is an old saying, "The tongue has no bone, yet it can break the heart. A careless word can wound deeper than steel, but silence has never left a scar. To hold words until they are worthy is to walk with mastery." This is why silence is not punishment, it is privilege. It is given to those who have proven that they can bear the weight of power without wasting it. When you carry your energy with care, Your presence speaks louder than your tongue ever could. And in that presence, the final test is passed quietly, without anyone needing to know. There is always a storm. Sometimes it comes as conflict, sometimes as doubt, sometimes as the noise of countless opinions pulling in every direction. The storm is part of life, it cannot be stopped. But within the Shaolin way, the lesson is clear. If your roots are deep, the wind cannot move you. The one who has built stillness inside does not fear the chaos outside. In the mountains, monks would train through harsh winters and heavy rains. The body shivered, the air cut through skin, yet the mind was trained to remain steady. The teaching was not about resisting nature, but about finding a center so strong that even the fiercest cold could not disturb it. When you hold this kind of stillness, the storm is no longer an enemy, it becomes another teacher. Passing the final test means that when the world shakes, you do not shake with it. When voices rise, your own breath stays calm. When everything around you demands reaction, you choose presence instead. This is not indifference, it is mastery. It is knowing that storms pass, but the inner ground must remain untouched. There is a saying from the old temples: the water that is still reflects the moon. If the water is agitated, the reflection is broken. In the same way, when your heart remains calm, you reflect truth clearly. Outer chaos may surround you, but it cannot distort what you carry inside. This is why storms reveal the chosen ones. They are not chosen because they avoided hardship, but because they endured it without losing their center. To face turbulence and remain steady is the true sign of discipline. Stillness in the heart is the final shield. There is a reason the old masters spoke sparingly. Wisdom is like fire. When placed in the right hands, it brings light and warmth, but in the wrong hands, it burns without mercy. This is why not everything learned should be shared at once. Knowledge has its seasons, and truth must arrive when the ground is ready to receive it. In the temples, disciples often asked for secret teachings. They wanted the highest techniques, the hidden practices whispered only among the elders, but the masters remained silent. Only when the student had endured long seasons of discipline, silence, and humility did the doors begin to open. The teaching was never withheld out of cruelty. It was protected until the heart and mind could hold it without corruption. Sacred truths lose force when spoken to unprepared ears. A seed thrown on rocky ground cannot grow. In the same way, a teaching offered to one who is not ready will wither or worse, be twisted into something harmful. This is why the chosen ones are trusted with silence. They understand that wisdom must be guarded, not scattered like dust in the wind. There is a discipline in holding back. To remain quiet when others demand answers is a form of strength. It shows mastery over the desire to impress, to prove, to be seen as knowing. Silence preserves both the truth and the one who carries it. The chosen walk carefully with what they have been given. They do not reveal every insight, because they understand that wisdom is alive. It ripens with time. Shared too early, it dies. Held with patience, it grows into unshakable clarity. This is why silence is not emptiness. It is protection, it is reverence, it is mastery. There is a quiet kind of victory that no one notices. It is the victory of holding back anger when insulted, the victory of walking away from conflict when pride demands you stay, the victory of keeping steady breath while the world tries to shake you. These triumphs earn no applause, yet they shape the spirit more than any recognition could. Shaolin teachings remind us that mastery is not measured in how many people witness your strength. It is measured in how deeply you remain rooted when no one is watching. The chosen carry victories that cannot be displayed. They are not written in titles, not spoken of in stories. They live inside, as steady confidence, as calm eyes, as the quiet assurance that the path is unbroken. In the monastery, a young monk once completed years of training. His body was strong, his technique flawless, but his master did not praise him. Instead, he asked, "Do you need my recognition to know your progress?" The monk lowered his head, realizing the truth. If the path is steady, praise adds nothing. If the path is unsteady, praise cannot fix it. The final test strips away the desire for recognition. It asks, will you continue your discipline when no one sees? Will you remain true when there is no applause, no reward, no audience? Only those who can answer yes are truly chosen. True mastery seeks no stage, no witness. It is self-sustaining. It glows quietly within, needing no approval to burn bright. The chosen walk with this invisible victory. They know their worth, not because the world tells them so, but because they feel the stillness of a path that cannot be shaken. There are wounds the body can heal from quickly, but words can cut into places no blade can reach. A sharp tongue leaves scars that last for years, sometimes for a lifetime. This is why the wise are careful with speech. They know that once words are released, they cannot be taken back. They move like arrows carrying power to destroy or to heal. The chosen ones learn to sheath the tongue, as a warrior sheaths his sword. To speak is easy. To remain silent when provoked requires greater strength. It is not about suppression, but about mastery. The understanding that peace has more value than victory in argument. When you choose silence, you do not lose. You preserve energy, dignity, and clarity. There is a teaching from the Shaolin halls. The tongue has no bone, yet it is strong enough to break the heart. Because of this, monks were trained not only in combat but in speech. They practiced pauses before answers, letting the breath settle, ensuring that what left their mouth was aligned with truth and free from haste. A story tells of a disciple who, in anger, spoke harshly to his brother. Regret followed, but the words had already wounded. His master reminded him, a broken bow can be mended, but the crack will always show. From then on, the disciple carried his words as if carrying fire, knowing their potential to warm or to destroy. Mastery is not silence alone. It is the wisdom to know when to speak and when to remain still. Timing transforms words into medicine. Haste turns them into poison. The chosen understand this balance, and in their restraint, they protect both themselves and those around them. The mind often seeks comfort. It looks for shortcuts, for the softer path, for the way that demands the least, but self-mastery is never found there. It is forged in the moments when you choose discipline over ease, when you walk into the fire of discomfort instead of turning away. The path is narrow, but it leads to clarity no comfort can provide. In the old Shaolin temples, training was designed to test not only the body but the will. Hours of stance training left the legs trembling, yet students were told to remain unmoving, not because strength alone was needed, but because stillness in hardship builds endurance of the spirit. It is in the trembling, in the sweat, in the ache, that discipline takes root. The final test does not ask if you are strong when the way is smooth. It asks if you can remain steady when the ground beneath you shakes. Can you breathe calmly when discomfort rises? Can you keep your focus when the body and mind demand escape? To endure in such moments is to prove that your clarity is stronger than your craving for ease. There is an old teaching, the gem cannot be polished without friction, nor the man perfected without trials. Discomfort is not punishment, it is the polishing stone. Each moment of endurance removes a layer of weakness, revealing the steady center beneath. Those who pass the final test are not the ones who avoided difficulty, they are the ones who welcomed it as part of their training. By enduring, they discover a freedom deeper than comfort, the freedom of knowing that nothing outside can shake the clarity within. Discipline, not ease, becomes the true companion of mastery. There is a rhythm within the body that can only be felt when the world grows quiet. Breath, heartbeat, the gentle flow of energy. These movements are always present, yet they are drowned when surrounded by constant noise. Ancient practice teaches that vital energy circulates best in silence. The quieter you become, the more clearly you sense the life within you. Noise scatters focus. It pulls the mind outward, fragmenting attention until the spirit feels restless and thin. Silence, however, gathers everything back together. It allows energy to flow like water returning to its source. In the temples, monks would rise before dawn, when the world was still dark and hushed. In those hours they trained, meditated, and breathed deeply, not because the day demanded it, but because silence itself carried power. On days of testing, silence is more than discipline. It becomes the highest form of presence. To remain quiet is not to withdraw, but to step fully into awareness. Every breath is sharper. Every sensation is clearer. The mind, no longer scattered by sound, reflects reality as it is. There is an old saying, the bamboo does not grow faster by shouting at it. Growth unfolds in quiet, in patience, in the unseen flow of time. So it is with the spirit. The chosen understand that silence is not absence, it is fullness. It is where energy gathers, where strength matures, where clarity shines. On this day, silence marks the difference between those still seeking and those who have found their center. It is not a void, but a presence so complete that nothing more is needed. In silence, energy flows freely, and the self stands whole, unshaken by the noise of the world. There comes a point when seeking must end. For years, the student studies, practices, questions, and refines. Each step is important. Each lesson builds the foundation. Yet the final test asks something different. It asks whether the knowledge still lives only in the mind or whether it has become the very rhythm of your life. This is the line between those who search and those who embody. In the old Shaolin tradition, disciples would spend countless hours repeating the same form, the same breath, the same stillness. At first, it was repetition. Later, it became habit. Finally, it became nature, no longer effort, but expression. That moment marked the passage from student to keeper. The form was no longer practiced, it was lived. The final test is not about skill alone. It is about becoming what you once sought. To chase mastery is to admit it is far away. To embody mastery is to breathe it with every step, without striving. The chosen ones reach this point not by chance, but by years of quiet discipline. They are recognized not for what they perform, but for what they carry silently within. A teaching says the tree does not declare itself grown, it simply stands tall. So too with mastery. Those who embody it do not need to claim it. Their presence reveals the truth without words. When the final test is passed, the restless search fades. The chosen no longer look outward for confirmation. They become keepers of the teaching, entrusted not to display it, but to protect it, to preserve its depth. Students learn for themselves. Keepers carry for others. This is the crossing point, where the path no longer leads forward, because the path has become the self.